everyone. This is quite a fun painting to do. It's one of the ones that I've used teaching on the cruise ships, and everybody gets really nice results. Now the picture isn't my normal type because there's not a lot of light and dark shapes on it, but we can still make this work quite well. Now to start with, I'm going to put on a little bit of a background, and I'm going to put clear water on. This will give us quite a soft background. I don't want lots and lots of stuff, but if we get something down to here, that will show up the white bottom and that will look really good. And I'm thinking maybe a green, so let's go for a French ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt umber. And into that we can add a tiny bit of lemon yellow. And just pull that down. And pull that across. And then what I'm going to do is into the bottom, I'm just going to add a little bit of raw sienna, which will bring that closer. That will give us that feeling of distance. And maybe that could go just like that. And so that will dry quite a lot lighter because we've added water to it. So we'll get that dry and then we can proceed. Alright, let's start with the skin tone. So a little bit of light red and a little bit of sepia. It's in quite a lot of shadow, so it's quite dark. Just pop that in, go over there because that's a black strap, and a little bit of the nose showing. And that's all the skin tone. How easy is that? I think there's a bit of ear, but we'll put the hair around that in a while. And I'm going to do a red coat because that's green and I've put green there, so that won't really show up that well. So let's go for an alizarin crimson. And the sort of the light's hitting it on the back. And then just thicker paint. Less water, more pigment as always. Put that down there. And then we can put any even darker shapes in a little while. And just pull that up. Oh, I don't want nasty things to happen there. I've just added more water, which is not a good thing to do, so just pull that out and pull that down. Right, trousers, so they show up a little bit. I'm using a little bit of raw sienna watered down. That can run, we'll be happy for that. And then as we come into the shadow, just a little bit of rich sepia. So we're looking for light and dark shapes, and although there aren't really that many on there, we've just got to find whatever we can and make use of them for that to work. Right, let's go for the boots and the hat. Prussian blue and sepia, that's a really good dark to use. It's one of my favourite mixes. Hardly any water, lots of paint. Tab off your water. So nice and thick and congee. There's no light at all really on that hat. Just be careful not to make that peak too big there. And the collar. And also the boots. So they're quite dark at the back. The light's hitting them on the front. Where that is, that goes up to there. Down to the heel. So just take off some of that paint, dab out a lot of the water, just pull that out. And so that exaggerates it a little bit, but that gives us our light and our dark shapes quite nicely. And into the sepia on its own, just for that little bit of hair. And we can leave that to dry. Now the saddle is also that sort of colour. Just pop, it comes down there. And then I'm going to wet some of the horse, so we're not making this complicated. So wet some of that where we want to keep it softer around here. And it's a white horse, but I'm going to go for some French ultramarine and some burnt umber for those greys, but I'm going to keep it slightly blue rather than grey. And sort of it's half dark around there. Pop it all in quite quickly, and then we'll add some Prussian blue into that in a while. Then it gets quite dark underneath. So just thicker paint. So sort of a dark shape in there. Actually, I think we use that colour for the darks coming down here too. And a little bit of a paler wash here. It's light at the front but dark at the back. I think white is just such a lovely colour to do this with. Now the thicker mix going back in. So it's very dark around there. Dark on the knee. So I'm just looking for all the dark shapes. Can always darken that again later if we have to. But I sort of quite like the looseness of that. And now the bottom. Now we've already wet that. That's not so dark, that side. So sort of just a wash of something grey here. And in there too. And then that is the same sort of tone. And then the shadow gets quite dark underneath the chin. I'm looking for light and darks all the time. And I've just made that a little bit darker so that it shows up. Alright, let's pull that down to there. I love this swishy towel. So let's put some water at the top. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit of raw sienna into it, because you can see that in the colour of the towel. Lighter as we come down, and then we've got like a blue that just comes in here, and then it sort of gets brown as it comes down more, so just add more brown to your French ultramarine mix. It's quite dark, but we can go in much darker with dry brush marks in a while, so let's just put that in like that. And just let that dry, and whilst that's drying we can do some of the dark shapes up here. So I'm going to mix with that alizarin crimson a little bit of French ultramarine blue. Quite thick, quite dark. Let's just squint a bit. Make that more definite shape. Not too many crinkles on there, which is a bit of a shame, but that's good. I'm going to mix some thicker burnt umber and French ultramarine for the horse's nose. Just make that quite dark there, and that ear on the inside is quite dark. And the eye. Just using the tip of your brush, pop in these. I think that's quite nice when this comes in, it sort of makes sense of it all. We've got a lovely dark. It's actually part of the horse there. Oh, that's still a little bit wet. But with my dark that I've got on my brush, just pop in those hooves. Right, a little bit of the blue and brown mix. Get the shape of the horse there. It comes down that leg, and this can actually be a bit darker there. That looks a better shape. And here is very dark. Okay, we'll get that dried, then we can do the lovely dry brush marks on the towel. Dry brush marks are picking up on the bumps on the paper with your brush, and so we're going to use the French ultramarine and the burnt umber, fairly thick so it comes off quite dark, and then what we're going to do is pick up those marks and look at how that tail is sitting. I know they aren't that dark at the bottom, but I think maybe a few wouldn't hurt. Pull that up. And I think this is going to be a darker colour, otherwise it won't show up if we just did it silver. Now the only other thing I'm going to have to do is a shadow, because there isn't a shadow. It was a really dull day. This could not have been a worse day to photograph the horse, but the horse was very inviting and I like painting horses, so any opportunity to photograph them I go for it. Now let's just water down our French ultramarine and burnt umber, and let's make a shadow. Now we sort of know the light's a little bit more that side, so we can just make a very small shadow coming off there. Well, that just anchors it down nicely. So I hope you've enjoyed painting this, and look forward to seeing you again when we do some more cruise workshops.